Vocaloid.
In this video, we're going to create a digital vocal phrase with VOCALOID5 for techno. And here's how we're going to do this. We're going to start with a media library phrase from the VOCALOID5 editor. And then we're going to change the notes, rhythm, the melody, and the lyrics. And then we're going to export this phrase to audio, chop it up, and create our own original version of this. So we'll essentially have three different things that we could work with. So you can follow along with everything that I'm doing in this video, or you can simply take these ideas and create anything you like from the knowledge. What you'll essentially get out of this video is knowing that you can take a media library phrase and you could use this as inspiration, not only for the lyrics, not only for the melody, not only for the rhythm. You can use the inspiration from the way it sounds, from the audio effects within the styling presets, for example. There's a lot of different things that are saved within specific phrases and presets in the VOCALOID5 editor. And being able to use these in different ways to create anything else that you want can be very inspirational. It can be motivational to move forward with your projects, and it can help spark new ideas to begin with. So to get this started, I have the VOCALOID5 editor open. Right now it's open as a VST in my DAW, so my digital audio workstation. I have music playing over in my DAW, and I'm going to be creating a Vocaloid phrase, so my digital singer in the VOCALOID5 editor. And I'm going to start by opening up the media library and finding a preset phrase to work with. I'm using Techno, so I'm going to jump into Tech House. That should be fitting. I'm going to go through all of these phrases. I'll take a listen to see what we have to work with, and I'll choose one from there. Pretty sure that's the one that I'm going to go with, but I'm going to listen to a few more.
Give me your hand. Girl, for just a month. Feel so good, feel so good. I see you, I see you, I see you. Honey, honey.
I like this one specifically, Holly Holly Ho. I like the way it sounds. I think we can manipulate this to create something with. So I'm going to drag this into the editor and play this back. And you'll hear it with the music playing back in my DAW as well. All right. Now I'm going to extend this out to a 4-bar phrase. So we have something longer to work with. Before I adjust the notes or anything like that, I am going to go into the voice tab. I'm going to change the singer. I'm going to go with Cyber Songman 2. You could choose anything you'd like, but I'm going to go with Songman for now. I like the way his voice sounds. Feel free to choose whichever one you'd like. Now, the actual Vocaloid part, I'm going to click on this, and you can see the notes that I have in here. I can rearrange these notes. I can create any other lyrics I like, although I'm going to delete all these. I don't want to work with any of these right now. And I also want to remove, for example, I'm going to open up this little toggle switch. I'm going to remove the pitch bend because the preset had some pitch bends tied in there automatically. You can see in this drop-down menu, there's like velocity, dynamics, pitch bend, exciter, growl. You could essentially change or adjust any of these parameters. So I'm just going to make sure there's nothing really happening right there. I could adjust this later on, but I'm just going to keep it on flat 0 for now. And I'm going to draw in some notes. I'm simply going to draw in a rhythm to start with. I know that this is in the key of G, my song, so I'm going to write something on the note G. All right, now lyrics. I won't stop moving on. So this, for example, I won't stop moving on. That's 6 syllables, so that'll fit the first 6 notes. The first 6 notes, for example. I won't stop moving on. I could draw something else in there. I won't stop moving on. I wanna fall down to the ground. So let's fill this out a little bit more. All right. Now, what does that mean? I have no idea. This is letting you know that you could write whatever you want. I mean, this is my favorite thing about VOCALOID5. You could write in your own lyrics and your computer sings them back as a digital singer. That's amazing. So if you didn't know this existed, Now you know. You're welcome. I'm going to extend these notes out a bit just so they're not all these quick little short notes. Create some legato. All right, there's definitely a lot more that I want to do with these notes. Not too much, but I want to change these up a little bit more. But before I do that, I'm going to jump into the style tab because I want to adjust the sound of this voice a little bit more. Now, jumping back to what the presets are in the media library, I told you that you have all these preset phrases and all these audio effects that are saved into it. This is essentially the screen that I'm talking about right here. It's like you have all these audio effects down here. You have these voice colorings, and the voice has its own tone, and that's what's saved into the preset. So it's like I could just write in any lyrics I want. I could write any notes I want, and it follows this same exact sound. And I could adjust this. For example, the robot voice. When I turn this on, I have the choice of choosing any of these three levels. The third one's the lowest setting. And what this is going to do is essentially take any note that the singer's singing, it's going to snap it to a specific pitch. So it's going to become more robotic in a way. And let's hear what this sounds like. Yeah, I like that a little bit more. It's not that crazy because it's the lowest setting, but it is snapping it to the pitch a little bit more. So I do like the way that sounds. I do want to change the character of this. I'm going to bring this down a bit, and it's going to bring more of a deeper tone to the voice. I like that. Now, I do want to say one thing. The character, this isn't actually pitching down the voice. It's not changing the pitch or the actual note that the singer's singing. What it's doing is changing the tone of it. It's making it sound deeper. So you could simply bring this up or bring this down, and it'll bring it more of like a chipmunky high-pitched kind of voice, or bring it down to like a deeper kind of voice. So that's a nice little setting that I like to use there. So one other thing that I do want to mess with in relation to that is the exciter. This is going to bring some more high end, a little bit more distortion. Let's hear what this sounds like. I don't know. I don't know if I want to distort it that much. I'm going to bring it back down. What I do want to add here, though, are audio effects. I like the audio effects we have, although I want to add some more. For example, a reverb, add some space and texture to this. All right, that works for me. And one more thing that I'll add is chorus. I'm going to bring this to the left of the reverb. Move it over in the signal chain. Now, before I play with this, I want to give you a little introduction to what this thing is doing. This is one of my favorite effects, chorus. Chorus, there's really two knobs to really focus on here. One is the depth, and the other one is the rate. Picture you have one singer, and then you have the chorus effect. The chorus effect is essentially going to take the same voice and pitch it up and down. The depth is saying how far up and down the pitch is going to be moving up and down. And the rate is going to say like how fast it's actually doing that. And by doing that, it creates this effect. There's an additional singer. It could sound like it's two, it could sound like it's three, it could sound like it's a bunch of different singers, depending on the depth, the rate, the feedback, all these different things. So these are the main two things to focus on, though, the depth and the rate. And with this, I'm just going to play around with it. Based on that little explanation, you could take a listen, see how it sounds, and you're going to hear it really does change the way that this sounds. It thickens up the tone. It makes it sound like there's more than one person singing. It gives it this really interesting vibe. So let's take a listen to this. right. That was really the effect that changes it for me. Adding chorus is a nice touch. So let's jump back to the actual notes. What I want to do with the notes is change the length of the notes and make them sound more realistic. We changed the actual pitch of them by turning on the robot voice, but we can now we could change the rhythm a bit to make it feel a bit more natural while combining that robot kind of voice. And we can do that by simply changing the length of the notes. For example, I could take these notes and I could make them a little bit shorter. I could overlap some notes and then move the placement of them over. Like the end point and the starting point, and take them off the grid. It's like not everything has to be like straight on the grid. If they're slightly off the grid, it could sound a bit more natural. So based on all that, I adjusted all these notes and this is what it sounds like. It's feeling good. It's sounding good. The audio effects are there. It sounds interesting. There's one last thing that I really want to add to this. This is a game changer if you were creating any vocals, any vocal parts for any genre of music in Vocaloid 5. If you're adding this one thing that I'm going to show you right now, it makes it sound a lot more real. It sounds like a real person, a human singing, especially if you're writing in English. So if you're writing in like American English, adding pitch changes is very helpful. And you could do this by opening up this little drop down over here. You could see this little drop down says pitch bend. And what I could do is draw in any notes that I'd like. And you're going to see that creates that little curve. What that's going to do is essentially pitch down or pitch up these individual notes. Here's one thing to know about this. So here's a little tip. See, when I drew that in, everything to the right also moves down to avoid this. I draw in I keep the grid on. I draw in all these little pieces here. So you can see I have all these little points. And what I could do is draw in a 0 over there. So they're all set to 0. Now, whenever I draw in a curve anywhere, it's like the next point kind of keeps everything locked into place. So it's a nice little thing. So it's very easy to work with. Now, based on this, look, I could draw in like a little pitch down, a little pitch bend down on this note. It's very simple. Instead of being like I, it's like I. And that's what English sounds like. If you hear anybody speaking English, in America at least, or pretty much anywhere, when you say something, I just went I just went up. If you go I, you're going down. That makes a huge difference of the way speaking sounds. And this particular song, it's like he's not singing any different notes. He's on a single note. So those little pitch changes can make a really big difference. So I'm going to go through this and create a whole bunch of changes, and this is what I have. See, that's a big difference. Now, here's another good thing that you could see is whenever you draw a pitch bend, you could actually see that this little orange line shows exactly where the note is going. So you can see here it's starting on a G, for example, but it bends all the way down to like an F, and then it goes back up to a G, it goes down to an F, sometimes it goes to an F sharp. This one here, fall, is going up to a D sharp or an E flat. So it's really nice. You can see exactly where the note is going, and you can make it sound natural while at the same time choosing the exact note that you want it to go to. So this right here is the most helpful thing that I've ever seen in Vocaloid 5 is that you're able to do these pitch changes. You can do them using the attack and release effects as well. Although if you want to get a little bit more detail with it, I'd say this is a nice way to go. And it makes it sound super natural if you're doing anything. So there you go. I'll give you a before and after again. That's a night and day difference right there. The original one does sound pretty cool though. I don't hate it. But now you have a choice. You got both of these. Now let's take this one step farther. I'm going to export this audio And then I'm going to bring it back into the Vocaloid 5 editor. I'm going to chop it up, and then we're going to have a whole new thing that we could work with. It's essentially our own audio that we could chop up into our own vocal samples, which is really nice for really any genre. But for techno especially, it could work really well to do a few things that I'm going to show you right now. So to do this, I'm going to go to File, Audio Mixdown. I could choose the master track, so it's exporting everything, or you could go multi-channel and choose the specific track that you want to export. There's only one track, so I could just do master track. Hit OK, save it wherever I want. I'm going to write VOCALOID5 as the title. It's going to export, and then on my desktop, because that's where I saved it, I have this file called VOCALOID5. But I will show you that in a second. First, I want to create an audio track. There we go. You actually don't have to do this, but if you just drag in an audio file, it'll automatically do this, but I'll do it just so you can see it. And I actually don't even need this Vocaloid track anymore, so I'm going to delete it. You could keep it. If you want to save it, save it. I'm just going to delete it now so it doesn't confuse you. I'm going to delete that. Now on my desktop, I'm going to go to my Vocaloid 5. This is the audio sample, or the audio that I've exported. I'm going to drag it back in, and you're going to hear it sounds exactly the same.
I won't stop moving on. I wanna fall back down, down, down to the ground. That's it.
There you go. Here's it with the music.
I won't stop moving on. I wanna fall back down, down, down to the ground. That's it.
So now I have audio, and it's the same exact thing as before. It sounds the same, but I don't have the notes that I could work with. I can't write in the lyrics anymore. What I have is an audio file. And the great thing about this is it's an audio file that I could take. I can move it around. I can chop it into different pieces. I can separate it. I could start creating little vocal chops essentially. And the other thing that's nice is that I have these two options. I could change the pitch of it. And I could reverse it as well. So if I have any pieces that I want to flip around, I want to play them backwards, I could just hit the on button on reverse, and it does that. So it gives me enough options to start chopping this up and creating my own vocal chop effects. And then if I want to add any new audio effects on top of it, like reverbs, delays, anything, I can start adding it on top of those. And it gives me a lot to work with. So here's some examples of something that I just chopped up. Here's another one on another track. It's good to know that you're not limited to one track. You could add as many as you like to create different layers, some with different audio effects. And if needed, you could, for example, pan one over to the right. So it's like I have my left and right speaker. I'm going to bring this one over to the right speaker, the second track. All right, and here's one more. And there you go. You have 3 different ways to essentially create vocal melodies or vocal chops or vocal phrases for really any genre, but right now I'm doing it with techno, so it's like a dance club music kind of genre. As a quick recap, we used media phrase libraries, we adjusted the notes and the lyrics from those libraries, and then we exported to audio and we created our own vocal chops. So those are really 3 ways that you could go about doing this. I hope this video was able to help you out. If you want to learn even more about Vocaloid 5, go over to the official Vocaloid website, and on the site, you'll be able to download a free project file of the project you see in this video as well. Enjoy.